Most people don't realize what's happening in Oklahoma's cannabis industry right now. So here it is, plain and simple. Oklahoma started out as one of the most small business-friendly cannabis markets in the entire country. Originally, it offered low fees, no caps, and a real chance for ordinary people to build something. But now, it's turning into a regulatory nightmare. The state has introduced layers of red tape that favor corporate interests over mom-and-pop operators. Small businesses face unachievable compliance requirements, from strict deadlines for certificates of occupancy to costly mandatory security upgrades. Lobbying groups are steering this change, advising lawmakers to implement high compliance barriers under the guise of public safety. These measures clear the path for corporate takeover, pushing local entrepreneurs out. When corporations take over, Oklahomans lose market control and see higher prices and fewer local jobs. Our state's cannabis market is in danger. It is crucial for Oklahomans to understand this strategy so they can hold lawmakers accountable and protect a market originally built by everyday people. Let's be perfectly, painfully clear, shall we? Because it seems a rather simple concept continues to elude not only the general public, but most alarmingly, our supposed public servants in Oklahoma City. I will attempt to articulate this in terms simple enough for everyone to grasp. The absolute, unmitigated regulatory catastrophe you see unfolding in Oklahoma's cannabis market was not born from the will of the people. It is a direct, calculated betrayal of that will. Let us rewind the tape for those who were not paying attention. In 2018, Oklahomans, a staggering number of them, voted for a medical program. They voted for access. They voted for a patient-centric system. They did not vote for labyrinthine red tape, grotesque compliance traps, or nonsensical, unscientific DUI laws designed to criminalize sobriety. None of that was on the ballot. Those additions, those brilliant afterthoughts, were crafted behind closed doors by the very legislators who seem to believe their primary duty is to protect us from the very freedoms we just voted to enact. It's a frustrating spectacle, is it not? We have more than 400,000 Oklahomans. That is, for those who struggle with large numbers, nearly 10% of our entire population, who rely on this system. These are not recreational dilettantes. These are veterans, cancer survivors, and people seeking relief from chronic pain, from PTSD, from the anxieties of modern life. And how has our legislature responded to this clear, popular mandate? By strengthening the program. Oh, please. They have responded by layering it with an artifice of unworkable regulations, engineered not to protect patients, but to punish them and the small local businesses that serve them. Anatomy of engineered failure. You see, what's happening isn't accidental. This isn't incompetence, though there's plenty of that to go around. This is strategy. It's a textbook case of regulatory capture designed to systematically choke the life out of the very mom-and-pop entrepreneurs who built this industry from the ground up. How do you do it? It's astonishingly simple. You invent chaos, like the infamous certificate of occupancy debacle, where businesses were given impossible deadlines to acquire documents that many rural counties don't even issue. You create bureaucratic black holes, like the FBI background check fiasco, a legislative masterstroke that required businesses to obtain a federal document that the FBI is federally prohibited from providing for a state legal cannabis business. One struggles to invent a more perfect catch-22. You manufacture a compliance crisis with constantly shifting rules and understaffed inspection teams, ensuring that only the largest, most legally insulated multi-state operators, the very ones with lobbyists on speed dial, can possibly survive the death by 1,000 cuts you've inflicted on the small business owner. The trap, a masterpiece of bad faith. The crown jewel of this entire charade, the most cynical and intellectually dishonest piece of this puzzle, is the new DUI law. It is a work of art, if your art is deceit. It was marketed, of course, as public safety. This is the evergreen excuse for all manner of legislative overreach. But let's look at what this law actually does. It has effectively decoupled the charge of driving under the influence from the actual state of being influenced. Under this new regime, a law enforcement officer, guided by their own, shall we say, subjective interpretation of your behavior can initiate an arrest. If a subsequent blood test finds THC, you are, for all legal intents and purposes, guilty. What needs to be brought to light is a critical issue that affects many individuals who rely on cannabis for medicinal purposes. There's a glaring problem in the law: the inability to distinguish between recently consumed THC and its non-psychoactive remnants from weeks ago. While alcohol clears in hours, THC lingers for weeks, casting a shadow over patients who medicate responsibly. This isn't science, it's manipulation. Laws currently enforce a perpetual state of guilt for patients medicating at home and driving to work sober the next day. There is no scientific test for impairment, no breathalyzer for THC, and no safety window for legal driving. This setup criminalizes patients while failing to ensure safety. So who gains from this scenario? It's not the patients or small business owners. The true winners are the special interests and corporate lobbyists. They push for stringent laws to squeeze out small operators, grabbing licenses for nothing. This turns a grassroots industry into a corporate monopoly, detracting from Oklahoma's vibrant diversity. Oklahomans deserve transparency and leadership honest enough to implement the laws they voted for. Let's discuss this openly, because if the system doesn't work for the people, then it's failing altogether. Let's take a moment to understand Oklahoma's cannabis situation amid the noise and confusion. Some claim Oklahoma did it wrong, but history shows that every state legalizing cannabis faced similar challenges. Oklahoma, with over 400,000 medical card holders, has nearly 10% of its population engaged, much higher than typical political participation rates. Support spans across conservatives, liberals, libertarians, veterans, and more, highlighting cannabis as a people issue beyond politics. Oklahoma's challenges mirror those of other states: raids, chaos, contradictory laws, inconsistent enforcement, lawsuits, and media spin. These issues have plagued legalized states coast to coast. Take California, the model for legal cannabis. Even after 20 years, it experienced significant turmoil. In 2015, Santa Ana police raided a legal dispensary, committing misconduct despite efforts to hide the evidence. The unity in Oklahoma over cannabis is extraordinary and rare. It's crucial to recognize the power in this solidarity, as it's not just Oklahoma's story, it's a shared experience across many states facing cannabis legalization complexities. If California, with all its experience, went through these challenges, how could anyone expect Oklahoma to get it perfect in 5 years? States like Colorado, Oregon, Washington, and Michigan have faced similar issues. Colorado dealt with pesticide scandals, raids on licensed grows, lab corruption claims, sudden rule changes, and mass product recalls. Oregon experienced cartel infiltration, overproduction, enforcement chaos, lab shutdowns, and tax swings. Washington encountered lab inconsistencies, enforcement abuses, corporate consolidation, and confusing compliance rules. Michigan saw licensing corruption investigations, raids on legal medical facilities, retesting scandals, and lawsuits against regulators. This isn't just an Oklahoma problem, it's a national pattern. The systems are influenced by forces like big pharma, insurance companies, corporate cannabis, enforcement agencies, compliance vendors, and extensive lobbying networks. These groups wield money, influence, and political pressure, shaping laws away from public intent. However, Oklahoma has a unique opportunity now. Instead of division and blame, Oklahomans, patients, businesses, and communities are unified. This cohesion is rare and powerful. It's time to shift focus from infighting to the real forces creating chaos and to harness this statewide agreement toward positive change. Oklahoma didn't fail. It's weathering the same storm and holds the potential to lead differently. We're pulling back the curtain on the real antagonists impacting our industry. For too long, bad DUI laws and compliance traps kept us busy focusing on symptoms, not the causes. But now, the true culprits are in our sights. First, let's address big pharma and insurance companies. They thrive on portraying cannabis as dangerous, a substance they claim is difficult to manage. A DUI law that makes sobriety illegal is a goldmine for them. Next, we have corporate cannabis. These MSOs are the disaster capitalists, waiting patiently as small operators are crushed by a regulatory mess. Once the dust settles, they swoop in and claim what's left at rock-bottom prices. Finally, there are the enforcement agencies. For them, more rules equal more chaos, which conveniently translates to bigger budgets, more federal grants, and unstoppable power. What we need to remember is that our community is far more than a statistic. We are a powerful political bloc of over 400,000 cardholders, cutting across all party lines, uniting veterans, farmers, retirees, and young families alike. This is our moment to turn public unity from a statistic into a weapon. Moving forward, instead of fighting amongst ourselves, patients against small businesses against each other, we should stand united. It's time to remind those in power that our bloc of 400,000 plus their extended networks is more formidable than any corporate body. This new legislative maze surrounding DUI laws and packaging reveals a crafted connection. Knowing that both policies take effect simultaneously, we see the deliberate effort to control the narrative. But with unity, we can challenge this structure and position our movement in its rightful place in history. Together, let's fortify this groundswell of support and demonstrate our collective strength to lawmakers. It's time for real change, led by us, an informed, motivated, and unified front.